Hey guys, I'm going to show you how to install a full system replacement on a 2018 Plus 9 speaker system Mustang. So here's the Mustang. Came with the 9 speaker system and it was whack. Completely unacceptable. I need my music to sound definitely a little better. There was no bass. Basically, the system is just horrible in my opinion. Now, this is going to be a little bit complicated if you want to do what I did because of the sync system. Now, if you have the total base model 6 speaker system, then you shouldn't have a problem. Now here's some information about the sync system. And the reason why replacing the audio system, if your dash looks like this, is the stereo is actually like 2 parts. Like the head unit is actually like 2 parts. If you have the base speaker system that looks like this, then you're not going to have this problem. Now, the second part of the deck is this amplifier. This amplifier is actually like the second half of the deck, right? And a lot of the car's information is actually feeding into this, like certain alerts, possibly the AC HVAC system. I'm not entirely sure, but if you think about it, the touchscreen on the deck, right, you can access different car systems and you can control the air conditioning. If you look at the back of this, you can see that it's attached to a little bracket. And there's 3 bolts there attaching the amplifier. This is the factory amplifier to the bracket. And the factory amplifier is actually located on the driver's side, on the inside of the fender, right where that 5.0 is. Now, if you look at the bottom of this factory amplifier, which again is like the second half of the deck, you can't just take it away from the deck. You have 3 clip modules right there, Molex connectors that are soldered to a board inside there. And now from the head unit itself, you actually have 4 channels going to the amplifier, but out of the amplifier, you actually have 7 channels. Okay, so what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to buy this Rockford Fosgate DSR, which is on the right side, and the appropriate wiring harness. And I'll show you in just a second which wiring harness I went with. There was a little bit of confusion about which wiring harness I needed to get, but I determined that this was the correct wiring harness for the 2018 Plus. Now, if you want to keep the factory amplifier and you want to amplify the signals coming out of there, so you want to run from the factory amplifier to your amps. Now, you can do that, and that is, in fact, what I did try to do. But the problem is these Ford systems are just so noisy. Basically, what I mean by noise is I mean white noise. Psh. So actually, the very first thing I did in the system was I replaced my rear deck speakers and without amplifying anything, and I could hear the hiss. Now, if you try to amplify that coming out of the factory amplifier, you're just going to get noise. And you've also got the problem of needing additional channels for your sub or for your subwoofers. So long story short, this is really the only solution that I could find to get a complete OEM style system that sounded great, that functions like an OEM system, you know. So without getting into the weeds too much, I highly recommend that you go with this option. I really think it's the highest quality way to go. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to buy these 2 things. So when you take the amp out, there's 3 bolts that you got to get out. There's one right here, one right here. These are both 10, and then there's this one. It's harder to get at, but not too doable. I had to get like my full body, like across the door, laying on my back to get at it. and you're gonna need an extension for your socket. At least I did. I think you probably need one too. Yeah, there might be a way to get it without the extension, but the extension made it easier. So 3, 8, 10, 10, and then to get the DSR1 in there, we've got these 2 holes, and there's also one on top. And I just went ahead and set it on here, and then with a little like tiny screwdriver, I just scratched where the holes would go. And so right here, and then I put a little bit of the 3M double-sided tape right here, here, and here on the back of the DSR1. And the back side is stuck onto the DSR1. This is the adhesive seal. Like basically, if I would have to take this thing off, the green and the white thing, peel it off to expose the adhesive on the back side. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna leave it just like this, just so that the DSR1 isn't too tight against the bracket. And this should provide a little bit of a shock absorption, just a little bit. Keep it from absorbing too many shocks. And you can just bolt it up like so. So I used 6 hash 32 by 3/4 inch, and then the locking washers. And I'm just gonna allow those to run long right now. I'm hoping they're not gonna interfere. If they are, I'll chop off the ends with a cutoff wheel. So they don't run, they don't cause a problem. Running those bolts long does not cause a problem. So now I got those 6 or 3 bolts to screw in. So if you want to replace your rear deck Mustang speakers, that can be a little bit difficult for a number of reasons. But what I did was I got the Infinity 6.5, like the reference, pretty basic model speakers, but obviously superior to the stock ones. And they actually come with this bracket, this mounting bracket right here. And I went ahead and I fastened the speaker to the mounting bracket with these little nut and bolt, this little nut and bolt combo that I got at Lowe's. And using those nut and bolts and using this bracket, you're able to drop it in and it fits in flush. But I'm not able to get a screw into this piece. And actually, when you get this stock, like when you buy these speakers from Infinity, this is actually going to be longer than it is. I already cut it down. You can see I cut both of them down. Not the best cutting job ever. I did it kind of quick, but I just cut it because it sticks out, and it doesn't allow the speakers to sit flush. So if you cut it back like I did, then it will sit flush, but I still can't get the screw in. So I noticed looking in through the rear window that the screw hole kind of sits a little bit back, a little bit to the right. So what I'm gonna do with the Dremel, I bought these Dremel bits on Amazon, and they're the Aporo carving bits, so they're for carving. And I bought this Win Dremel on eBay as well. I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm not gonna take the speakers back apart, which honestly probably I should, but I don't want to. I'm gonna try to carve back here and open this up, and the same on the other side. And then I'm thinking I should be able to get all 3 screws down. So when I do get a sub in there, it's not gonna be rattling this around. I want a really nice, solid connection. So these are the fast rings I installed from Roadkill, and I had to cut them. You can see it's a little bit rough again. I'm going a little bit quick, but I think they're gonna do the job because I think they're gonna get smashed down. I think they're a little bit taller than they need to be right now. And so I'm hoping that these are gonna help direct the sound up through the carpet. I went through all of this on a different video, but these holes already exist in this like formed, like semi-hard, I guess carpet board material that sits on the rear. These holes are already here, all these holes, but there's no holes in the carpet on the top. So what I did was actually, I drilled out all these holes, all of them. So I'm hoping that the roadkill is just gonna smash up against this, kind of seal it. And those holes are gonna allow the sound to come through. So if I hold it up, you can see, not bad. That only took me like 45 minutes. And I think it's not that noticeable, like when you look from like there. It's pretty cool. So hopefully it all works out. And then also, when I removed it the first time, I had some of these things, like this one and this one, like some of these came off. You can just use some industrial adhesive, like I think I bought it at Lowe's or Home Depot, and just put them back in place. And they're probably in place better than they were when I bought the car. They're not really, naturally, they're not necessarily glued super good. That's one that never came off. And this is the one that I have glued on. Definitely seems like it's on better now. Go ahead and put this on. All right, so I got the carpet in. And I think that those fast rings are doing their job just right. And looks pretty good. You can barely even tell there's holes in there, right? OE652FD by Powerbase. So I bought this scratch and dent on Crutchfield for my 2008 Ford Mustang GT. So I'm redoing the entire factory system, and I wanted some good door speakers. So this is what I settled on. So I got a pretty good deal. I think I got them for like $81 on Crutchfield because they were scratch and dent. Yeah, I'm pretty into buying scratch and dent stuff, and I've had good success buying scratch and dent and also open box from Crutchfield. No real major issues. So what we see with these speakers right here is that they're 60 watts RMS. That's compared to the factory OEM door speakers, which are 25 watts RMS. So this is going to be a substantial improvement over that. Now, I got to be honest, I really did not want to buy these speakers because of a couple things. The frequency response. The lower end of the frequency response range is 70 hertz. So for a subwoofer, you can usually find a lower end down to like 20 hertz. And in the Ford Mustangs with the 9 speaker system, I think also with the 6 speaker system, the lower door speakers are actually subwoofers. And so I really wanted to put subwoofers in there, but I am putting subwoofers, at least one subwoofer in the trunk. So I figured that if I went with this, it would still be okay. If I lowered the bass in the front of the car, it would still be all right. And the reason why I went with these, even though I was looking for a lower frequency response, was because I used the software on the Crutchfield website to compare the sound of these speakers to the sounds of some of the other speakers I was looking at. And these just sounded incredible. Now, it's possible that software was overleading or misleading. The way it works is you just open the software, you select a few different speakers you want to compare, and I compared these to some cheaper Alpines that had, I think, a frequency response in the 40 hertz range, or maybe the 50 hertz range, somewhere between 40 or 50, and these just sounded so much better. So the JLC1075CT for the Mustang tweeter attempt, and you can see it right here sitting inside of the body clip, and it fits pretty good. It's not bad, right? It looks pretty good, but it doesn't look good enough, and it isn't good enough. Do you see this kind of like gap right here? If I shine a flashlight in there behind it, you can see that it is gappy. And so what that's gonna do is that's gonna allow air to move around the side of the tweeter. I'm not sure how important that is for a tweeter, but I think it's like the same concept as like a subwoofer. You know, there's a reason why we use sealed subwoofer boxes or like semi-sealed subwoofer boxes, right? So it's not quite good enough. It's pretty close, but not quite good enough. So what I did is I went to Harbor Freight and I bought this O-ring assortment. And it has a bunch of different O-rings in here. And it's good that they're black. It makes everything easier. But it's this one right here, this O-ring, that saves the day. It is number 222. So it's a 1/2 inch inner diameter and a 3/4 inch outer diameter. And it's only 1/8 of an inch high or thick, however you want to say that. And what you can do is you can just drop it down right behind the tweeter, and it seals up the tweeter, and it looks great. I want to show you really quick how this looks from the side. It's kind of sinking in there, and you could make it look better. You know, you can make it look better. It doesn't look bad, right? But you can see it's kind of sunken. And I really didn't want something coming out. I really wanted something that was like super flush. And so this is not cutting it either. You see how it's kind of sunken down in there? With the correct O-ring, and I probably do need to adjust this a little bit. It sits pretty close to perfect. Here it is in the front. Let me just hold it up to the light and see if there's any light coming through. No, it's completely sealed. So that's gonna help with the sound, and it's just gonna make it look better. It looks like it's meant to be there, but it definitely looks better than the stock one, and I hope that it sounds much better than the stock tweeter, especially after I amplify it. It might even sound worse than the stock tweeter before I amplify it, who knows? Hopefully not. But it is gonna get amplified, and I think it just looks incredible. And so, you know, the tweeter is gonna be, or the pillar is, let me see, how is this one gonna sit? Here, this one is for the passenger side. So it's gonna sit like that, at an angle like that. So I have the GL audio going pretty much down. Not perfect. I do need to adjust all this a little bit. Look at what this comes with. It comes with this mounting bracket, which is literally like perfect. And I didn't have to cut the hole out at all. I obviously had to cut out the stock plastic tweeter mounting bracket with my Dremel, but I didn't actually have to cut this hole or modify this hole at all. And I really think this could be the very best Mustang tweeter implementation, period, without going like super crazy custom. I think it just looks incredible. And this bracket, this mounting bracket, is basically perfect. So what it is it's just this spring. I had to bend it a little bit to get it into place, but it's this spring right here. And then it comes with, the set comes with 4 of these, 2 of these, and 2 of these, for a total of 4. And what you do is you screw either one, you know, either a short one or a long one, into the back of the tweeter. And you screw the short end in, and you get that nut tight to the back of the tweeter. You go ahead and you slide this on, and then you take one of these nuts and you just tighten it down, And so you can adjust it. No gluing, no crazy nonsense. This is just, I think, the best possible situation. And I had to use the short one because there just isn't that much clearance back behind the, back behind like really like any of this. There's like an airbag back there and stuff like that. And I think this is not gonna give me any clearance problems whatsoever. And so what I did for the JL is I just lined up the speaker wires coming out with the right edge of that kind of like indentation you see on the top left-hand corner, looking at the camera right now. And I am gonna adjust it a little bit. It's not totally set yet. We'll see how it is in the car when I'm putting it in. But yeah, come on, this has got to be. This is sick. This is crazy cool. This is crazy nice. Yeah, so whenever I finish my system, I'll go over everything that I've done, but that's nice. Let me know what you think. So here's how they look, final install in the Mustang. Nice and flush. Pretty much perfectly flush with the addition of that gasket. And I think they look pretty good. That's the factory speaker for the 3.5. I haven't replaced the 3.5 yet. And I definitely think it's a better look. But yeah, so I think the sound is improved even though they're not amplified yet. They will be before too long. Time for the 3.5s now. Kenwood KAC HQR1004 Class AB 4-channel amplifier. So I'm redoing the system in my Mustang 9-speaker system. I'm gonna have 2 amplifiers in there. This is gonna be one of them. I might get another one, I'm not quite sure. Honestly, this is a little bit overkill for what I'm doing, but it might not end up being, depending upon which subs I end up going with. And so I was like partially done with my system, and then I went ahead and I took out the amplifier that I had put in, the first amplifier I had put in, and that was a Class D Kenwood amplifier with 600 watts max RMS. And I did that for a multitude of reasons. This has been a real learning experience for me, but I literally went through hundreds, or maybe even, probably not thousands, but many hundreds of different amplifiers that are on the market. And when I found this one, I just had to have it. Now for me, the styling of this is timeless. I think it's just incredibly beautiful. I like the HQ reference name. I like the script. I like the gold lettering. I like the gold lettering down in the bottom right-hand corner. I like the brushed aluminum look, if that is aluminum. It does have gold connectors, or gold plated connectors. That is real gold plating. And in case you don't know, gold is, if not the best conducting material, it's among the very best conducting materials. And yeah, if you're gonna go ahead and plate those with gold, that's gonna be incredible. And one thing I learned through this process is that it seems like most of the companies are building Class D amplifiers now. And I'm not an expert, right? So I don't really know, but I believe that Class AB actually has higher sound quality than Class D. So I really wanted to get a Class AB amplifier. And I will note that Kenwood, their most expensive stuff these days, their highest level flagship stuff, it is Class D. Now this amplifier right here, I don't believe was intended for sale in the United States. I found it in Africa, and I believe it's also in the Middle East. Now, there's not very much English language information about this available, but I did see a really short YouTube video of some guy with this amplifier in his car, and even though it was a YouTube video and we can't really know what the sound quality was in his system through that YouTube video playing on my, on my sound bar on my TV, it sounded incredible. It just sounded incredible. It sounded great. And I love the styling. It sounded great. And 1,200 watts is really not bad. You're definitely getting up there at that point. That's probably underrated because it is a Kenwood. It's a really high quality company. So the wattage, the RMS wattage probably exceeds 1,200. And so it's 100 watts per channel, 4 channels, which is really, really good. So even if this is overkill for my system right now, it's definitely an amplifier that can grow with me as my system evolves, or as I put a different system in a later car. It's definitely one that you can push to a pretty high level. Another thing I really liked is the Class AB amplifiers are less efficient than Class D amplifiers. Without getting into that too much, basically what that means is that they get hotter than the Class D amplifiers. So maybe that's a reason you would want to go with the Class D rather than a Class AB. For me, it's fine. I'm okay with the fact that it's less efficient. I'm really going for sound quality. People have been putting Class AB amplifiers in their systems for, I believe, decades. One thing that this has that a lot of Class AB amplifiers don't have is a fan. It has a fan in there to help keep it cool, which is, I think, an incredible feature. So I got this $189.99 on Amazon. It's also on Walmart, and I don't think it's intended for the US market, but I think it is the highest level Kenwood Class AB amplifier that is available today. And I think the styling is incredible. I like the gold plating. I like the stats. I like the numbers. I like everything about it. So there it is. There's some English language thoughts on the KAC HQR 1004. So I've got everything hooked up at the DSR1. You can see it right up in there. And it's probably a little bit hard to see, but all these connections coming out with the wiring harness I used for this car, and just included with the DSR1. The RCA outs are included with the DSR1. The wiring harness, like that brown piece right there, it came separate, made by Mentra, and they're made to work together. And the number one thing I'm not proud of is this wiring right here. All that wiring. Those are for the front woofers, these ones. And I did that before I committed to getting these the wiring kit in the DSR1. So yeah. And then, because I'm not great at soldering, I am using these posi tabs. So those are the two main things in the whole system I don't like that much. I have two RCAs, both braided. One NVX and the other one, I don't remember what it is. This one costs like twice as much as the NVX. I should have just bought two of the NVX. They're both 4-channel. Here's the remote on, coming from the DSR1 as well. And that's one of the great things about the DSR1 is that it does have a remote wire for your amps. And I'm running 2 amps, and I have them daisy chained on this wire right here. And these are all my speaker wires that are coming back up. So like the signals go out from the DSR1 in these RCAs, but then to get back to the speakers I have to run these wires up. And I already had the whole system hooked up. Now I'm just kind of cleaning everything up and hiding everything, so I have all my stuff labeled. And I loomed speaker wire, just taping it together, and then I have this really cheap plastic conduit or split loom, plastic split loom, and I'm just stuffing it in there just to give it a little bit of extra protection and taping the outside. And I'm probably gonna use another piece and run a little bit further, and then I'm just gonna run up. Everything's gonna go underneath the carpet somewhere. So what I did for the subwoofers was I bought this old school used non-functional Rockford Fosgate R1 2x10 subwoofer enclosure. It wasn't working. The wires had come apart. It was just really, it's obviously really old. It's still in good shape, but it needed some love. I brought it back, and I paid almost, you know, a very small amount for this, you know, because of the condition and the age. But in case you haven't noticed it so far in this video, I took great pains to keep costs down. Like even basically everything was open box or used. And you're gonna see later, you know, with my power supply and stuff like that, like I went bare bones minimum without, you know, decreasing the quality. So this fits great in the trunk, and it fits right under this bracket that I'm about to show you. So another issue was I wanted the car to be like as much like a functional car as possible. I didn't want a subwoofer and amps taking up my entire trunk. So there's actually 4 holes in that lid right there that already exist, and I used 5/8 inch all thread along with, you know, different nuts and so forth to build a bracket coming out of there. Now the carpet in the top has to be out when you put the bolts in the top, but I put you know, I built this, and it keeps, you know, everything out of the way, so I still have a functional trunk, which was very important for me. And I think it looks very nice. It came out very well. So here's the power wire. I'm only using 4-gauge copper clad aluminum, and my amps are grounded with only 10-gauge oxygen free copper, and I haven't had any problems whatsoever. Now, a lot of people are probably telling you want to go bigger, and you may want to go bigger, and I may go bigger, or I may switch this to copper clad aluminum and upgrade the amp wires. But again, no problems at all so far. And what I'm doing with this is, obviously I didn't try to hide it. I'm just running it like that. On the other side, everything is underneath the carpet, you know, all the way into the trunk, you know, where they connect to the amps. There's nothing to see over there. But on this side, it didn't bother me. I don't want to hide it. There's no issue with that, and I may upgrade it at some point, so it is what it is. It's kind of tucked underneath this trim piece right here for now. But what you want to do is you want to remove the battery box in the engine bay. So I've got the glove box open right now, like all the way, and you can see that I just punched through the firewall right there, and that is exactly what you want to do. Just go through the firewall. Don't make your life a living hell. Don't try to go through the fender or anything like that. That's another thing I learned from 5-star car stereo. You know, just go through the firewall. And if you need to get your car appraised at a dealer or sell a car, you know, you may want to remove the system before you get it appraised. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. Good. One thing I wanted to do with this system is it needed to sound good to me. I'm not an audiophile, but I would say I'm a little bit more sensitive to sounds and music than most people. I know what I like, and it needs to be loud, it needs to have treble, it needs to have mids, it needs to have bass. Like, if you're missing any of those components, then I'm not feeling it, just in general. I listen to classical, I listen to opera, I listen to jazz, I listen to rap, I listen to bass music, I listen to EDM, I listen to trance, I listen to sometimes even country. I'll even admit it. Sometimes I'm down. You know, I like music a lot, and I want it to sound good. Let's try another song. I haven't listened to this one yet either, but it's from the same playlist. So this is And I like the way that little sounds, sounds, for lack of better language. I think I really did accomplish a high quality system and a good quality sound. All right, let's call it good. So it is what it is. I'm going to finish it up with this. So just remember that if you do decide to do one of these systems, I highly recommend that you go with the Rockford Fosgate DSR and the idataLINK Maestro wiring harness. And good luck.